Welcome back. In this video I just tidy up the frame and get it ready for painting, as well as sort out the rear brake and a storage compartment. So I just start off by detabbing it, and also decided that I'm going to remove the center stand, as I don't really use this and I just think it's big and clunky and looks better without it. So got rid of that, and then I just got the flapper wheel out, smoothed it all out, and there was a little bit of TIG welding here I did on the ends. This is when I put the seat in. I had to do a little bit of a mod, so I just tidied that up and smoothed it all out, and there's the frame done. It's looking pretty good. Once I had it at this point, what I did was remove these old reflectors. So I don't know what they were off of, but they weren't genuine, so I took them off. They were just held on by sticky tape. Bought some OEM reflectors, just position them properly, and I just test fit them to make sure that they're going to be ready to go once I paint everything. So they look pretty good. Then what I did is, whilst I've done the front end, one thing I hadn't done is fixed up the stoppers, because under full lock the forks actually do touch on the tank, and clearly that's not something I want. So I position them, and what I do is I get a bit of 6mm mild steel plate here. I profile it the same as the tab that's there, just so it fits inside that, and it gives me some extra metal to play with. And I file it, tap it into place. I put a rag with some water in there so I don't get that bearing housing too hot. TIG weld it on, and then once I do that, as I say, I've got enough metal to mess about with then, so I just clean it off, fit the forks in, and take my time. And here it is done, where it's just filed. You can see this, it stops nicely, and it gives me about 4mm clearance, so I'm really happy with that. It's not a lot less than stock, but just it is a little bit, it is slightly different. Next up, I put the rear wheel in, put the swing arm in loosely, put one of the rear shockers on to hold everything in the right spot. And what I'm doing here is I'm just trying to position that rear caliper, which is also off of the XJ650. It's hard to see, but there's not much room between that shocker and the tyre, and I need to fit the bracket in there. So I'm going to try to put a bit of solid round bar in there, 16mm, just to make sure it's plenty strong enough. And what I decide to do is I heat the end up red hot, and I'll hammer that down to make like a little bit of a flat spot. And I'm going to make a flat there, drill and tap a 10mm hole, and that should help me position this rod so it just misses the shocker as well as the tyre. So I just flatten it out a little bit here. Here's a 10mm titanium bolt I had left over from the Mozuki project. So the standard bracket on a 900 is 8mm, but the way I'm mounting it's a bit different, so I want to upgrade that a bit to 10mm. Here it is here, and you can see the clearance from the shocker is pretty good, and the clearance on the tyre is good as well. And then once I've got it all lined up, I cut the bracket that came with this from the XJ650, and I re-welded onto this rod I've just made myself. Once it's tacked, fully weld it, and this comes out really nice. So all this is a 16mm rod, and that end that you can see there, I weld a little bracket on for the hose to hold that out the way. And as I said before, I just drilled and tapped that 10mm hole, and that fitted up awesome. So that's the rear brake sorted. Now this is the seat latch. I actually got this idea from Jish, who's actually building a XJ650 as well. So if you haven't seen his channel, check it out. All I do is weld the bracket to the bottom of the seat. Once I've done that, the other side of the bracket I weld into the frame on another bracket, which is what I'm doing here. There's not much to it, and one thing that surprised me a bit is the cable to release that actually needs hardly any effort. So what I've decided to do is modify this and put it out the way a bit, and I'm going to make my own little knob, I guess you'd call it, just to release that. So I'll cut a little bit off, put the wire through, and you can see I'm going to tuck it up under the frame. It goes under the battery, and it'll just be right out the way. And here I'm just on the lathe, make up a little knob, and what this is a bit of brass. I drill a tiny hole in the middle, about 1 mil or 1.5 mil, to fit the cable through. Profile this a little bit just with the file, and then once I've done that, I set it in the vise. I've got some fluxed silver solder here. Needs to be quite hot. Just get it the right temperature so it doesn't flow too far. And once it cools down, I simply grind off that bit of extra cable, get on the buffer and buff this up, and come up. Awesome. So you can't even see, you'll see where the hole, can't even see it, polished up real nice. So then I just put the little adjuster bolt in the bottom there. It's a bit hard to see where I am there, but it's right underneath the bike. I line it all up, get the adjustment right, and you can see it here, moving the latch, and there it is, right out the way near the swing arm. Now here's just the trial fit of the seat. If you listen carefully, you can hear it click. Clicks in, and you can see under the seat there how I made that recess just to be sure I wasn't going to have any problems with the tyre hitting underneath the seat. Now I'm going to put the battery in this space, and you saw the side covers I made a couple of videos ago, and this is just a storage compartment box. So I just made it as big as whatever room was left, and you can see it here. It's not a bad size. It's not symmetrical because obviously I've shaped it to maximize the size, and I'm just going to bolt that in, and there it is there. So in the next video, I will prepare the frame for painting and start mounting the electrics, and the engine should be going in real soon. Stay tuned.